we think safety, security, an environment that's safe, whether it's our homes, our business, our communities, we always think burglar bars, alarm systems, armed response, these sort of things, which has been an important part of everybody's life. We all have these things. We are all very familiar with it. But you guys are saying these are all the traditional stuff. These are all cool and well, but they are expensive and they're not really as effective as they should be. You have ways that are more effective, but also you have a bit of a proof to back up these claims. I don't know. I'm just going to put it out there. Wayne, should we start with you? Is that the case? Is that what you guys are all about?
Yeah, Dugan, thank you so much. And we are blessed to actually be able to speak to Mzansi and talk about how we see crime eradication and how important it is for the communities to actually understand the role that they play. The one thing, the way we looked at solving crime is if we focus on the old methods, we are going to be receiving the same results. What's missing, what was missing, and what is still missing is communities' involvement. We are not training and teaching the communities to literally protect themselves. We looked at safety, security, and the environment as one pillar.
Okay.
When you look at safety, we look at it from a disaster management, contingency, major risk to people, multiple people. That's how we see the preparation to ensure that the communities can take care of themselves from a safety point of view. From a security point of view, we are looking at it, how do we equip our communities to, number one, understand how to work out a security plan for a specific area, number one. Number two, how do you get your businesses as well as your municipalities to also play a positive role and to co-create those new SOPs, standard operating procedures, that you want to implement in a identified environment, and then making sure that there is sustainable training and recruitment that is taking place.
Okay.
And taking the community on that journey of change. At the end of the day, we want the community to own their spaces and places. Our role is to help them to build it up, to reimagine their spaces, and for them to own and be responsible for their environments. We literally are going to help them and enable them to actually reach those goals.
Yeah.
Sure.
And Wayne, when you put it like that, because what you're actually suggesting is a sort of a bespoke solution per area, per community, if I can put it that way. Because what you are saying, and we all know this, because sometimes when it comes to safety, when it comes to security, when it comes to crime prevention, it's always been like a sort of a blanket approach. But the demands in the situation, and the milieu, everything is unique to certain bits. So, Logan, if I can ask you that, having said that, is that what Integrated Crime Solutions all about? And how long have you guys been around?
I think if you look at the board, it's probably the best way to look at the business, because the board is made up of a multidisciplinary team. Each of the members have got 30, 40 plus years in their respective fields. I'm talking from the outgoing president of Forensic South Africa. I'm talking about Judith Pulser, who was the chairperson of Business Against Crime in the Western Cape. Wayne Dawson, which is a niche security specialist and looks after the Josie Majosi, and is chairperson of the firm. Which the firm is really, I'll let Wayne get into details about the firm. We've got Tanisha, who has spent a lot of time with the DTR, also with CETA, which is Services CETA for job creation and enterprise development. Dawn Dunn, which is a radio personality and very involved with women's rugby in South Africa. Okay. We have got a very strong advisory board made up of branding specialists, central policing forums, ex-judges, ex-advocates, and a number of other speciality areas, including James Dalton. And the reason for James Dalton is really because of what he represents in terms of community and communities feeling inclusive when we go and work in communities, and his voice being part of the 1995 World Cup. So our approach is very different. I think, the business was started mainly because we saw the flaws within the social services sector. And there are a number of big security companies doing exceptionally good work. There's a lot of foundations, and foundations are getting a significant amount of money from corporates, big corporates, small corporates, getting tax breaks. Yeah. Very few of them are actually making themselves, and I say it cautiously, very few are creating sustainability where they don't need to rely on donor funding to be able to create employment. And we believe as ICS Foundation that if you're going to be promoting job creation, social development, social cohesion, what we've got to do is we've got to be able to eat our own dog food, and we've got to be able to make communities self-sustainable so that they can sustain themselves. Yeah. Then at the bottom, we've seen that with the youth, unless what we can do is we can introduce sport programs, coding programs, and other education programs. These kids in underprivileged areas generally tend to gravitate towards drugs, gangsterism, because those are the role models in those areas. Look very different today because at least you've still got Google, etc. But those are the role models. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to break that narrative. And the reason we're trying to do it, as a PDY Limited, because we've got a dual mandate. One is a corporate mandate and a corporate initiative where we pursue commercial business. But in fighting crime, we also realize that if we don't start addressing the social ills of job creation, reskilling of people, giving people equal opportunity, and what we're going to do is we're going to see the crime rate escalate, because any parent that can't feed their kid is likely to turn towards drugs. Yeah. And what we're trying to do is address that and some of the softer issues which we can get into later, like water and energy, etc.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So you mentioned because that's a whole array of a who's who with people who've got experience that are all sitting together with on your board. So you definitely hitting loads of things, and you're trying to make a significantly meaningful impact when it comes to communities. Out of these core problems that we are trying to solve, of course, the government is doing as much as they can, civil society is doing as much as organizations like yourself and everybody else is coming up. But you guys have come up with ways now that is almost like a bit of a booster. You know what I mean? Because you really speaking to the core problems and targeting that. And to what you said earlier, Wayne, you were addressing it almost in a bespoke sort of response.
Dugald, absolutely correct. So ICS operates on 4 pillars. Pillar number 1 is adding value. Any single project that we tackle needs to tick these 4 boxes, and I'm going to go through them very, very quickly.
Okay.
Must add value, must make a significant impact, must be resilient, and must be sustainable.
These are big words.
A lot of times we have seen that there are brilliant programs that are basically brought to our people. Where it falls flat is when people lose momentum, or when organizations are not taken seriously, or when the turnaround time in terms of producing the results are not being achieved, and where organizations can literally stop, pause, and start looking, do we do a tilt, or do we do a pivot, or do we continue down this road, or do we stop, re-explore, and redistribute the funds that we have for that project? Where we come in is we believe in nobody knows what they need better than the community. That's the rule number 1. Number 2, everything that we are doing is built on our constitution, which talks about everything that we're doing is for the people, by the people. So we have been in the new dispensation for the last 31 years. We know for a fact that if nobody does something significant now, we're going to be stuck in the same cycle of repetitive disappointments that we have been achieving and seeing very clearly. South Africa is one country that is a money-making machine. What we are saying is we want to start this engine. We want to take the community on this journey. If we don't do it as a community together, who is and who's going to come to help us? We are here. ICS, together with all our partners, together with government. Now, here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Josie My Josie is this organization that started this whole movement in terms of societal change. But the societal change included revitalization of the cities, looking at key areas of responsibilities. And we said, let's package this into work streams. Now, the good news is Josie My Josie is now going national. And we are literally started with the ICS team down in Cape Town to start creating ecosystems. Ecosystems talks about getting all these experts into a team, into an operational team where we sit together with the community and co-create how we're going to keep them safe, how we're going to keep them secured, and how we're going to start looking at turning their environments around for their environments to start making money. We're talking about tourism. We're talking about arts and culture. We're talking about reigniting our trade industry where the ambachtsman that has been lost for years, the tradesman that's been lost for years, we are calling all those tradesmen back. Because at this point in time, our country needs to be repaired. A lot of broken things. It's time for repairs. So what we're saying is all the corporates that are out there, all the willing hands that are out there, once the main site is launched, we are going to be putting on different types of programs and projects where society can actually attach themselves to. We want to start looking at creating new markets because we want to take everybody along on a journey because we are now moving in the fourth industrial revolution. And if we don't take our kids along, they're going to be stuck. And we cannot afford that. That is a no-no. What we said was, with the Logan Shaw and the team, with Shanisa Munsami, they are going to be putting down a whole lot of tech hubs across the country. Where South African youth are going to have that opportunity to literally play in that space. But Logan mentioned the firm. Now, the firm stands for Forum of Integrated Risk Mitigation. We were established in 2019. All the banks, all the property owners, and all the mining houses within the city of Johannesburg came together and said, to here and no further, we need to start looking at how do we start identifying risks and threats to Johannesburg and to South Africa as a whole, and start focusing on how do we mitigate that and using those 4 pillars. Whatever plan we come up with, it must add value, it must make an impact, it must be sustainable, and it must be resilient.
Because that is a very sort of progressive way of looking at it instead of just a reactionary way of looking at it. Because that's when it comes to safety and security, that is it. You know, we only react because there was a threat or there's a history or something happened. But if there's an environment where there's complete harmony and everything is just hunky-dory, then it kind of takes everything out of it. Logan, if I might ask you, ICS operates now through both a professional consulting arm and a social impact foundation. So this is a bit of a, how do I say, a double-edged, it's like a dual mandate, isn't it? It's a bit of a 2-in-1. How does that operate? How does that work?
So I think to Wayne's point, you know, the one thing that we've seen is we've seen a lot of corporate companies build security strategies. A lot of security companies out there doing exceptionally good work, as are SAPS and Metro and everyone that has got pockets of excellence and unbelievable excellence. And I think where we're seeing a gap is we're seeing a gap with the cohesion and integration of what's happening with people in the rural and social and communities, and what the security strategies are. As Wayne puts it, if you want to ask someone how to address a problem, ask the person that's got the problem. Let's not assume that we know and we've got all the answers until we've discussed it with them. And I think that's the approach that we've taken. And what we're certainly not saying is we're saying that we're a one-size-fits-all. We're not. We have got multiple companies in some spaces, like the LPR and the license plate recognition space. We have got 3 or 4 companies that are all very well established, all got their strengths, all strong in specific areas. And what we look to do is we look to mix and match the best solution, and I'm talking solution, including the communities, for a given problem. Now it's easy to pick up funding to be able to fund from a business where there's a problem and you're trying to secure an industrial area. Very different when you're trying to secure it from a social and a social cohesion point of view, because corporates generally don't pay for that unless it's through a foundation, and that's why we've created the foundation, and that's the way we operate with that dual mandate.
Okay. Now it makes sense. The penny has dropped here with me, but I must say that is quite clever.
In between.
Yeah.
So my question is, obviously you guys have been busy now. ICS has been established. You got your foundations going. How do you guys measure? Has there been great successes where you could actually measure the outcome of working with government, business, and communities? Is there any examples of that, or how have you guys successfully? Has it been successful thus far? Anyone?
So if I can go. Thank you, Rhoda. So we literally cut our teeth in Johannesburg with the Josie My Josie program. So exactly the principles that we have instilled in our operations in the city of Johannesburg is exactly the same type of strategies that we are going to be implementing in the Western Cape.
Okay.
Those strategies were designed and developed in Johannesburg based on the environment that we find ourselves. Wow. As you know, we've got Zamazamas mining underneath the city. If they're not blowing up our streets with their dynamites. Then we have got illegal miners. We've got the erratic taxi driving behaviors. We've got load shedding from time to time. So all these nuances, and then we've got the hijacked buildings, etc., etc. And that gave us the perfect playing ground. When I say playing ground, it gives us an opportunity to put down a strategy and literally test it to its bare minimum. Wow. Where we can literally thrash that strategy out to say, listen, let's give it a little bit more stress. Because at the end of the day, we want a solution, and a solution needs to eradicate all the risks that we have identified. The nice thing about this collaboration is the synergies that we are finding and the partnership that from organizations that you least expected. The taxi associations and structures are actually part and parcel of our solutions in this city of Johannesburg. Oh, wow. They play a significant role in the safety of our public spaces. We are in the initial stages of those conversations, but to date, these guys are eager to literally be part and parcel of this massive change that we would love to see in society. The way we see this is some of the strategies, you'll start seeing the effects in 3, 4, 5 months' time. Yeah. But when it comes to an environment that has been plagued with, for example, drugs or violence, for us to clean that area up is very quick, to remove the crime, to remove the danger. What's missing is that repurposing of that area, revitalizing that area, introducing solar streetlights, because once an area is dark at night, it draws all the bad elements. What we've realized is if you want to tackle an environment, you got to have a completed plan already. So when you remove people, the job starts. When the people are removed, you start fixing stuff, you start painting stuff, you start making sure that that specific environment has all the services, and you make sure that all the servicing teams are protected and they can operate in that space. At the end of the day, we want the community to start literally taking care of their environments, because it has to be pride of place and space. We will come in and assist to actually create that pride of that space. But it's up to the community to literally interpret how that space needs to look. How it needs to appeal to different genders and age groups within the community. And it's about an all-inclusive community. We have to, if the pavements are not geared for disabled people, we haven't reached our target yet.
Wow.
We need to make sure that it's all inclusive. We are South Africans. If we sign off something, we need to ask ourselves the question: can our disabled South Africans use those public spaces safely and securely? If they can't, we haven't reached our mark yet.
Sure. Wait, and taking you back to what... Go ahead, Logan.
Let me give you a practical example of something that... So we've worked quite closely alongside the extortion cluster and the construction mafia cluster, which you read about in the press every day. And really, I think that there's been legislation passed in terms of making sure that business forums can benefit from these construction jobs. And those business forums should be are earmarked to be forums from the communities, etc. The problems that we've been seeing there is that if you don't know how to register business and you have never been taught how to register business, and someone doesn't take your hand and doesn't hold your hand and take you through the process, you would never be able to, as a community, establish a business forum that becomes a business for you. So it starts at that level. Then once the business forum's established, is to make sure that the business forum is integrated into the project opportunity. And a legitimate business forum, which is regulated with people from the industry, and then and for the communities to benefit. And what we've seen certainly in KZN and on some specific opportunities, within KZN, the community forum has really become the first barrier of defense against perpetrators, criminality, etc., which shows that if you empower people and you assist people to understand, we only know as humans, we only understand what we know, and if we teach people, people will grow.
Yeah,
that's so true.
I like that. I like that. And in a way, you got Logan. That was a brilliant anticipation, because in a way, you've almost answered what I was going to ask. Wait, as a follow up to, and I'm still going to pose the question. I'll just do it differently. But a moment ago, Wayne, you also said, like, once you remove the person, I want to change that term, and I don't want to put words in your mouth. But let's say you want to. Once you remove the person responsible for the crime, so let's say you remove a criminal from an area or the community, and you said that is where your work starts. Now, I don't want to call anybody a criminal, but that is where it starts, because now you really find the solution. Because by just removing the person, another person is just going to take that place if you haven't solved the environment, the problem, because that's what you say.
Dugald, absolutely correct. And this is exactly why I was anticipating that question. When I said our work starts, it's twofold. The first part is, what are we going to do with that specific place? The other side is to understand why that individual basically has taken up crime as being their means to their end, to survive. To live. We got to understand what is giving crime more legs. What is giving crime life? And if we can, as a community and as government and as business, start saying, okay, how do we look at start ensuring that society will sustain their growth level as well as their survival level.
Exactly.
We have got land for days. We have seen technologies out there that can literally take sea sand and you can grow crops in them. We have seen technology that pulls water from the air. We have seen technology that pulls electricity from the earth. We are in the fourth industrial revolution, and we are not playing in that space.
Wow.
What we're saying is, we want to reduce crime in different societies at a very aggressive space. When I say aggressive, I'm talking about our speed is going to be based on the community's involvement. Our speed is going to be based on the communities literally taking the stick and whacking us to say, you guys are too slow. Our speed is based on the community's urgency.
Yeah.
But there needs to be a commitment. When you look at a specific environment, we want the community to commit to bringing about that change. And I think the commitment is just to solidify the work that we want to do with the community for them to actually achieve their goals.
Yeah. Yeah.
So true. So
What we realized is, unfortunately, society, we have disabled people's ability to be creative. Every single day in the news, it's just bad news, and bad news sells. Yes, it sells. We don't tell good stories. What we need to realize is law enforcement has got the mandate from our constitution to actually manage crime. We don't. Neither does the security companies. Therefore, what we are saying is to the community, we have to work with the police. What we have established right now is we already had very high-level conversations with police officers at high levels for them to understand what is needed where corporate South Africa, the community, as well as law enforcement, where that sweet spot is, where we start meeting one another.
Yeah.
And once we have already established that, what we are saying right now is we have a partner, Steve Ross, that works in Elsie's River. Steve Ross is a community leader, and what he does is absolutely amazing. He's the guy that will stand at the hijack spots at the robots and actually put signs up and warn drivers, this is a hotspot area, hide your stuff. This is what Steve Ross does, and a whole lot of his team members are doing the same thing. We want to create more Steve Rosses.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I think to that point, I think there has to be a willingness. There has to be a willingness to change.
Yeah.
And that is you've got to make everyone a part of the solution because no one can do it alone. I think if we can work collectively and we can, that's where we find success. It's like taking a piece of technology. If you don't teach someone how to use the technology correctly,
100%.
that person will appetite and do a better job on a pen and paper. And that's true, and they would do a better job. And you would save yourself millions and millions.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be a bit of a funny person, and I'm going to pose this question. Either one or the other can answer. What I wanted to speak about was the SAPS, which is our police force. And you all know many a times with obviously just the communication between the community and the SAP, it does become a bit of an issue, technology-wise as well. Are you guys also then that catalyst, the person in the middle is wanting to improve the SAPS as well, that link between the community and the SAPS the South African Police Force can also basically kind of shorten and be a bit more clearer?
Wayne, can I answer this?
Yes, you can.
Go for it.
So I haven't migrated into this space because it was where I started my career I started my career in technology. I've worked my way through the ranks. But I think that in terms of how I found myself here, I've been a victim of crime. I had someone sign my signature, remove me off a business,
Wow.
an auditor, an accountant work with the person to fabricate share certificates, provide it to SIPC, and the willingness to be able to bring the perpetrators to bear has been almost, in some instances, non-existent. So we've taken it upon ourselves. And I think that when you move into this community space, and when you move into this crime space, it's like cancer. And I want to, unless you've lost a loved one to cancer, and that person, and the next person comes to you and says, I've lost a loved one to cancer. Until you've been subject to that sort of pain, you never really understand it. It's easy when you haven't lost someone to cancer to be sympathetic but I think that when you've lost someone that you love to the same disease, you become empathetic. And that's the big difference. And I think that if what we can do is if we can breed empathy into our communities, I see I see across the country, I see conference upon conference and people spending millions and millions and millions. After the conference, between conferences, I can almost bet you a bottom dollar that there's no difference between the first meeting and the second meeting because people don't invest. There's a lot of talk, there's a lot of commitment, but what people don't do is they don't adopt these strategies. What we're talking about in terms of technology, one of the biggest issues, it doesn't matter how advanced we get from a technology point of view, from a security point of view, a community point of view. I think the reality is if you look at our conviction rate as a country is 3%. And so that means 97% of people that are committing crimes are getting away with it, whether it's blue collar, etc. And unless what we're able to do is we're able to create the technology, because what they do is they'll find a loophole, they will pay someone off, and that's generally the trend. It's generally the trend. But unless what we're able to do is we're able to plug those gaps and make sure that we can provide technology that can act as the evidence that can be inadmissible in a court of law and can start increasing the rate of convictions. We're going to be addressing the same issue. I mean, what we've done, it's sad, but we've adopted SAPS and we're working with SAPS and SAPS. We in the Western Cape we find them amazing, and we're working with their SAPS Education Trust in terms of trying to look after these police that have lost, or these policemen that have lost their lives in the line, on duty, and when you see the families and what they need to go through, once communities can embrace the fact that these SAPS members put their life on the line for them, and probably 99% of them, everyone's always SAPS this, SAPS that, but generally it's there, and I think we also need to break down the barriers between the city officials and SAPS and the various communities, etc. Because, the one thing that I've been observing as an outsider, looking in at what's going on in the press as an example, I look at what's going on with the insinuations and allegations and talking about SAPS and crime in the Western Cape. And I think that if we've got problems in our country, those different units and those different departments need to address the problem around a table. But I think putting it into the media domain, all we're doing is we're scaring our tourists away. Tourists are running for the hills. Those are the same people that we want to be bringing to this, because what they will do is they will bring funding and they will bring change. And if we can have a cohesive government, we will be unstoppable as a country, like our sports team.
Yeah, I absolutely love what you are both saying, because what you are talking about, you're talking about a very different approach, because listening to the both of you, and I kind of get the sense that for the longest time we've been, and you mentioned it right up front, Wayne, you said like we've been doing the same thing over and over, and the results are they kind of get less, and we've just been chasing our own tails for the longest time. now we are moving because there is a bit of a different approach. But to both of you, as a final question, for organizations now considering ICS, organizations thinking, okay, wait, let's talk to ICS, see what this all's. Let me ask you this: what makes you trusted in the space? What makes you different in safety, sustainability, and economic development? How can you guys ensure South Africa's future is going to be brighter? Because there are many other security companies. The security sector is one of the biggest employing sectors within South Africa. What puts you apart? And my follow-up to that how will people get in touch with you?
Thank you so much. I'll start and I'll ask Logan to close it off. So what makes us different? The way we think. Our focus is always community first. We manage all these projects under the strictest rules in terms of financial compliancy, project compliancy, as well as impact. We measure impact, we measure sustainability, and we make sure, doubly sure, that whatever the product or the solution that we're putting onto the ground is scalable. It's not a Volkswagen Beetle born in the 1960s. That car still looks the same. Now and again, they take off a fender just to make it look like a rat rod, but it's still a Beetle. What we're saying here is we would like to grow with the solution, and the solution needs to be built in such a way that it can cater for any other types of risks that we have not put into our basket. Yeah. One of the latest risks that we have to focus on and focus on very very seriously is extreme climate weather, and this is what we're experiencing right now. So this weather pattern now is actually weather pattern for the next 40 years. Who knows how this weather pattern is going to be changing, because this is the first part of what we're experiencing. At the moment, it's wet, it's rainy, it's just destructive. We're not ready for that. What's going to happen if all the other seasons starts to change as well? How do we play in that space? What makes us different is we look at where we are right now, what information we have about that specific risk right now, what resources do we currently have, what are the gaps, what do we need? And this is where we include everybody in society. Academia from universities are coming in and helping us to relook, redesign, revamp, re-understand our spaces. The beauty of how we operate is we are always leaving what's next behind. People are excited about tomorrow. When last have you said, I can't wait for tomorrow? This is what we want to create in our societies. When we start putting all these programs together, and part of the programs is also to heal, to get to the heart and the soul of our people. We always had the dream of Ubuntu. We, from an ICS point of view, together with all our partners, the Josie My Josies of this world, the firms of this world, the CIDs, city improvement districts of this world, the municipalities, the government, to collectively, we need to bring about this change. But this vehicle has got to move as one. We got to cut away the silos. We got to cut away the noise. We got to cut away the excuses. Let's sit down and let's get working. Wow. It's time for South Africans and all the partners out there that wants to come on board. Let's put our boots on. Let's get our hands dirty and let's go and fix South Africa. Logan.
Let's do it. Wayne Dawson, thank you so much, sir. Logan, if you would like to add some 2 cents there.
Yeah, I think I've been through a living example of it. And, you know, what we lived through was we lived through the looting, the KZN riots. That's why you had this immigration. And I think half the KZN population is now living in the Western Cape. The other half is left, including my brother, they abroad, and we've been living examples of it. And, you know, at a time when the police they were caught off guard, as with defense, etc. the communities and the way that communities came together was something incredible. And I think that's what we're striving for, is we're looking for that community cohesion. We can't do it all. I mean, we can't do what some of the big security companies, we can't do what the big security companies can do, but what we can do is if we can collaborate and we can integrate and we can work together cohesively. I think somewhere between Nelson Mandela's first dreams of his speeches when he came out of prison, and I was watching one last night, of 1995, and the 30 years that have gone on, sure, there have been lots of failures, and sure, we can point fingers, and sure, we can say what's broken, and sure, we can blame it on color and each other's races, and we can do all of this. Alternatively, what we can do is we can come together as a South Africa, and we can roll up our sleeves, and we can fix the problems that we've got at hand, and we can start making a difference, as opposed to looking at what our share price is, start looking at how we make meaningful impact to communities.
Yeah. Fantastic. Well said. Well said. And gentlemen, to both of you, once again, we would just like to say thank you so much for being here and sharing your insights and sort of telling us what you are all about. Now, of course, it's very easy. Is there a website that we can visit? Wait.
Dougal, I don't have it offhand, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to send it.
www.
Yeah, thank you.
ICS Foundations with an S. .org.
.org, as simple as that. So it's
www.icsfoundations.org.
.icsfoundations.org. There we go. So as easy as that. Thank you very much. Listen, thank you, gentlemen. All I can say is thank you very much for your time. I do feel that this is not the last time we're going to converse. I actually want to talk to you more. So I'm going to just put an open up invitation there. Like, do come speak to us in a few months from now, if that's okay with you.
Alonso, Rhoda, I think, we value the opportunity to speak on your show. And I think that, you also a significant bridge to the gap between community, SAPs, corp business, etc. And more shows like this, and being able to invite people like us and other corporates and other people, where what we can do is we can find a meaningful place to share ideas and possibly even to exchange numbers and collaborate and to work with corporate South Africa communities. We're humbled. We appreciate the opportunity. Keep up doing what you're doing, and we're just happy to be part of your society.
No, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Logan. Wayne, to you as well. Thank you so much. We wish you only the best, all the success, and all the best with what you guys are doing with your organization. And thumbs up and all of that.
Thumbs up for sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, guys.
Thank you. Thanks, Wayne. Wayne, you're not doing a dance.
And that is Wayne Dawson and Logan Shaw joining us here tonight on Mahala Monday. Yes. When it comes to safety and security and all of that, of course, you know what, and the more I was listening to them, it's like all the solutions, all the things we've been doing in terms of crime prevention, all of that, it's almost like you're just chasing your tail.
You're chasing your tail,
You need a holistic approach to sort of eradicate it, because if you take the person who caused the problem out of it, somebody else takes his place. Because the reason he did it is not because he wanted to, it's kind of almost like what he's forced into it. And this is what we hear all the time. You hear this from all the different ministers in the cabinet. Yes, but it's unemployment that is doing it, or it's, you multiply the price because you can't get to work, so you're just grabbing any opportunity. We hear all of these problems. So here's an organization who's helping with that. So, and obviously collaborating with SAPS, collaborating with other businesses, everything.
Definitely.
And there's already successes there. They're turning it on. It's almost like a new recipe, isn't it?
It is, Dougal. You know what? There's something philosophy that I always lived by. And I mean, I raised my kids to as well. And this is exactly how I see their vision as well. So it's a case of, we all know the problem. Everybody knows we've got a problem. Let's look at the solution. And this is them. As they are the solution to a problem which we're all aware of. How are we going to fix that problem? And this is how I see ICS as that foundation. Definitely.
So integrated crime solutions, that is what it's all about. Once again, thank you very much to Wayne Dawson as well as to Logan Shaw for joining us this evening on Mahala Monday. And I'm really putting it out there. This is an open invitation. We're going to have to get them back.
We
We're going to have to get them back. There's now more questions. Now, the more I think about it, I've got other questions that I didn't pop up in the conversation. So many more things that I want to know.
We have to get them back, Dugald. Definitely.
We're going to have to get them back.
Yeah. So on that, Dugald, there is some event that's happening for the ICS, and that is next week sometime. They're going to have the Hot FM Drive next week.
Yes.
So that will be happening next week sometime. So everybody just look out the space. So Hot FM is obviously a Cape Town radio station, and they will be on that radio station. Then on the 25th of February as well, they will be having Paddle for Purpose. So it's all about raising funds, Dugald, for like he had mentioned, policemen that actually passed away, where they're creating these funds to actually support the children that's left behind. So obviously, mine is a parent now, and these are policemen and police ladies that has put their life at risk, that died obviously on duty, and this is how ICS has now stepped forward and said, you know what, we're building that relationship, that gap that they're trying to close. This is exactly what they're doing, and saying let's look at the police, look at them as humans. Let's try and say, let's work with them and make them realize that they're actually putting their life at stake here to help us at the end of the day as a community. So that's on the 25th of February. You can go to the website and go and find out more about it as well. If you want to, as a company, want to join them, and you want to bring us 4 people apparently that can come and play and compete, your money, I think it's like 73 Rand or 74 Rand for you to enter per person. Please make that difference.
Easy. It is easy. That is easy to do. But that wraps it up for the show tonight, Rhoda. A little bit, once again, thank you very much to Logan and Wayne for staying on a little bit longer as normal. So thank you for going into overtime, gentlemen. We really appreciate it, but we definitely would love to have you back here with us on Mahala Monday. But this is definitely the kind of conversation that will get the topic started. This is definitely the kind of conversation that we want to hear your comments and your feedback. So definitely put it on there. Let's get a conversation going, because the more we talk about it, the more we become solution driven. Because my experience is completely different from Rhoda's and the next person, but my solution was unique to me, and maybe you can learn from it. Likewise, I am going to learn from somebody else's solution. And that is the important thing. And in a nutshell, I think that is what ICS has done. We're not chasing our tail anymore. We're coming up with personalized in a way, but more bespoke, sustainable, value-adding, resilient solutions. So when you wipe out a problem, you don't want it to come back. You want it to be gone. And this is what ICS is doing. Keep those comments coming. Thanks for watching Mahala Monday. Check out our ad in the week, of course. As always, it's going to be a fascinating conversation. You don't want to miss it. From Rhoda and myself here, until next time, cheers, everybody. Don't forget to like, subscribe, thumbs up, share, all those things.